Hi everyone, I'm Zoe Thrall. I'm one of the co-chairs of the 151st Convention of the Audio Engineering Society. I am also the Director of Studio Operations at the Hideout Recording Studio in Henderson, Nevada. Joining me for the tech tour of the Hideout are Kevin and Kane Churko. They are owners of the Hideout. But not just that, they are producer, engineers, and songwriters in their own right, having won many accolades, both Grammy-nominated and Juno Award-winning producer engineers. So I'm going to let them take you on the tour.
You've already met Zoe. I'm Kevin. This is my son Kane. We're at the Hideout. Let me take you through. From the lobby, we will right to Studio C. I don't know why it's not A, but it's C. There's 4 studios here. Every studio has its own lounge. We got, in fact, if you want to come in here for a sec, there's lots of talented people in the Churko family, the least of all, me and Kane. My wife painted this one, so make sure you take note of that. I think she used to put this above my office desk with a gun pointed at my head. I don't know. Maybe it was meaningless. I'm not sure, but. Studio C. Kane chose, when we bought this place, Kane chose C as his studio. I didn't realize how smart he was because he's proprietarily set the entire room up basically for himself. I chose a bigger studio and Zoe kicks me out of that studio every second day now for somebody much more important than me, which I'm happy but not happy about. Billie Eilish, Kevin, Billie, Kevin, Billie. She's gonna get that room and I get kicked out. Whereas Kane can come into C all day long, show us your great room. This is where Kane makes all his magic at. It's kind of proprietary, even though we do rent it out occasionally. But
so this is my Studio C, I guess, since I'm usually here most days. It's all set up with all my choice pieces of gear and equipment in a workflow that works for me, how I make music. I'm usually writing, producing, engineering, and mixing the songs that I work on. So right from the get-go, I like to have all my tools readily available, easy to use. You'll see pretty much everything is in arm's reach. I got my guitar, my microphone, my guitar pedals, my keyboard, all.
How do you get to that keyboard within
all within arm's reach? I don't have to get to that one.
Oh, you don't get to that one?
I can get to that one through this one.
Okay. So this is the main one.
Yeah, this is my Moog one, my favorite keyboard that I got. Just got that recently.
Isn't there a plugin that does this?
Not this one.
Oh, okay.
Everything's set up to be reamped through the guitar pedals at any times. I can send tracks out of Pro Tools to the pedals. I can send my keyboard to the pedals. At all times, I'm just sending things in and out. All my gear are set up as inserts in Pro Tools, so I'm usually not recording through any of this. I'm just putting it on just like I would a plugin, and often using the Cush gear to make things warmer, maybe make the digital a little less digital, and kind of glue a track together a little bit in a way that plugins don't always do as well, maybe. But I love technology. I love the Slate Raven. I use that at the touch screen. Allows me to do movements and such that you just physically can't even do with a mouse.
This is almost like the opposite of my room in the sense that we both use technology, as much as we can, but yet you still love the analog stuff on your side chains, whereas I do things before it gets into Pro Tools. I'm analoging it as much as I can, and then once it's in Pro Tools, I kind of leave it there, whereas you got all your stuff set up to just affect it at any time.
Yeah, I mean, some things I almost never even change the setting. I just leave it on my favorite setting and just drive the input from within Pro Tools about the same amount, and I can put the same compression on almost every bass track that I'm recording and stuff. So I just pop it on as an insert. It's already ready to go and sounds good.
I think the great thing about this studio here is that when they built it, they really forward thought a lot of things, and one of the things that they did was they had Ethernet everywhere. So we do have a central server here that we even run sessions off that server too, that if Kane's in this room, he can fire me tracks. I'm at the back. I can work on stuff, send it back to him quickly, efficiently. Clients can change rooms, not have to worry about carrying drives if they don't want to.
And even accessing it from home or on the road,
yeah,
as you need to, and we often recording when we travel too.
Well, a lot of times, I have a little rig at home too, so I'll go home and I'll forget some files, or someone calls me, I don't want the A&R people to know I have a rig at home, so don't be calling me at home on a Sunday because you need that instrumental mix that I've given you 5 times. But when you do need that instrumental mix that I've given you 5 times, I can log into the server here, download it in my system there, at home, fire off a mix, or that radio edit where you want me to take the 6-minute song and put it down to 2.5-minute songs and still have a real song. I can do that at home by logging into the server here. Any file, but don't ask me for it.
And it's password protected, so each of the engineers can only access their own files.
I think that's a good point to make. The other point B is half the time I can't even access my files because I can't remember what the password was.
This is the vocal room, tracking room that I have. I'm generally just recording singers in here, but it is set up to record drums. I have an electronic kit here.
This is a great little room where Kane has even more pedals, because how many pedals are too many? And the answer is none.
I have probably over 40 pedals by Earthquaker devices. I use those a lot. This is just my overflow, so I think I have 18 pedals on my pedal board and probably another 20 or 30 here. And this is my personal collection of guitars, at least some of them.
Pretty much in any closet at the studio here, you'll find a lot of guitars, which is really not that common these days in most rooms because it's a different world. But these are all collections that we've kind of accumulated. And in this room particularly, I'll bring notice to this Gibson Explorer, which is actually a friend of mine, Jason Hook, the guitar player, ex-guitar player from Five Finger Death Punch. This is one of 3 that he gave me when he was building this, when they were making this. And they sell it in a white version, but there's only 3 black ones. And I have one, and you engineers will appreciate it. I traded him a patch bay for this. So I think I got the better deal, and I know he doesn't even use the patch bay, so he basically got nothing, and I got this. So that's pretty cool. One more, we can't ignore the Canadian tele, and because we had another friend, Ellen Miller, that gave us this, even cooler in the back of it. One of those is me, one of those is him. I think you can tell who's who. All right, that's about it here. All right, we'll continue on to down the hallway. Kane's Wall of Fame, more Wall of Fame stuff, some of the clients who've been here. Go Knights go. One of the great things about this place is that I remember they built it in about 2005, 2006, like before I owned it. Obviously. I just got into town. I needed work, and I came here looking for work. And they didn't give me any work, so I bought the place. No, I'm just kidding. No, I did buy the place, and they didn't give me work, but Zoe didn't give me work either at the Palm, so, here she is. Working for me. So let that be a lesson to you. But one of the cool things about the Wall of Fame here is that this is a picture of me in Studio A with one of my bands. And looks like, I'm in the studio I own, but this was taken before I owned the place. And what it was is that we had recorded the first record in my house because, they wouldn't hire me here. And we recorded in my house, and then we rented the studio for a half day to come in here and take pictures. Like, we recorded it here because it was so much cooler to record it here than in my kitchen. So anyways, that's that little bit of fame. I always like to think about that. Do we show the kitchen? Full-size kitchen, because this is important too, right? People want to have space and a place to hang out and eat, and again, so they don't have to sit in the studio and eat and do stuff. I had a guy, Kyle Sanders from the band Hell Yeah, that would come in here and literally make me bacon and eggs every morning. Sorry to my vegetarian friends. He would make me bacon and eggs every morning until we realized there's no outdoor vent, and so the whole building gets the bacon, which most people liked, I have to say. I only had one complaint. Everybody likes bacon. Can you keep up with me? So again, every place has every studio has its own lounge, and this is the B lounge, which is wonderful. And again, they don't have to bother me. They can come hang out here. Technically, we don't allow dogs in here, but when the client brings the dog and we can't get rid of them, they go in there. So this is the new part of the Hideout. The Studio C where Kane is kind of the. They had that studio going while they were building all the rest of this. So when they built this place, you know, again, I wasn't here at the time, but I was hanging with some of the guys and knew all the people involved in making it. And they really did it right in the sense that every room has cut concrete between the rooms. There's no bleed, great wiring. You'll see, you know, every room connected to each other without the bleed of the sound going through and all that. I don't know how many layers of drywall. I wasn't around for that, but you'll see as we go through how deep every room is, and that's the only way when you got 4 rooms in here in this modern day, where a lot of it is you know, bottom end based. That, you know, we don't need the complaints. We got one guy doing a VO in that room and hip hopper guys in this room. We got to keep the bass level down. So lucky for me, they did that. My wall of fame. This is Studio B. This is the room I chose. Remember, he chose Studio C. I wanted to be, you know, a big timer, so I chose this room. And looks amazing, and it is truly amazing. But again, we're getting so busy these days that Zoe kicks me out of here constantly. So I have to have a lot of portable stuff ready to go. Kane can just get set up, whereas I got to, you know, I got my Fairchild down here, one of my favorite pieces of gear. This rolls around with me everywhere I go. My guitar rack. This is a new preamp I'm trying out, which is from DW Fern, which is an awesome new pre. It's probably gonna live here. But yeah, I gotta be portable and ready to move because invariably someone much more important than me wants to be in here, and which pretty much means everybody. But this is a great room. I mean, lots of room, lots of couch room, lots of gear. The gear at the studio can go anywhere, so you just have to know what we have and book it for your session or your studio. This is an SSL 9K, one of the best analog consoles of all time. You can tell lots of people just come in there, they spread their tracks out, they sum it here. Maybe do a little bit of EQ and bus comp, and then they go back home. You know, I mean, studios are taking a different shape these days, and that's one of the ways that we can be valuable to some other local people. There's only so many SSLs in Vegas, and we have it set up here that we can align everything and have it ready to go, so some guy can literally come in here, run his mixes through, sum it really quickly, be out of here. And then I get to come back in here again. So I'll show you the vocal booth here. This monitor is a rite of passage. You haven't worked with Kevin Churko unless you've hit your head on this, in some cases more than once. I don't know if you've ever hit your head. Have you hit your head on this thing? I definitely have. I got one client that hits it 3 times, so it's on the back of it, it's all taped up now. But, you know, usually it's in this position. 1001, 1002, 1003. Takes a bit of time, but I keep it up so people don't get knocked out. But invariably, walking in or out of here, they hit their head. This is your standard run-of-the-mill vocal booth. Although I have recorded drums here. I mean, in fact, I'll show you. It's kind of a cool thing. I actually like recording drums more in here than in my bigger room because the drums themselves sound bigger in a small room. And so I can get all the joy of the small room and the extra bottom end from that small room on the drums. And then I put some room mics in here. I know, sorry Zoe, I didn't clean it out for her, but you know, I got mismatch of why is there a trash can in here? Nobody knows except for me. But I cleaned this out, put the stereo mic in here, closed this door, and oddly enough, this sounds huge. Just compress that baby up. I get all the joy of close mic small room drums with all the ambience of that room. That's A, don't look in there yet. We're gonna get there in a second. We're gonna go to D. So again, at the Hideout, it's a changing world. So sometimes, you know, people don't need to soak up a big budget or a little budget in a big room. So they can always track drums in the big room, piano, those kinds of things. And then when they're doing vocals, they can come here. Because it's, you know, it's half the size and half the price. So this is D. So this is, I guess, what we would call the project room, project writing room, but vocal booth. They do lots. We've done audio books here. You know, I've spent time with my artists in here because it's a little bit more closer. So different kind of intimate writing environment. I mean, the key thing obviously is, yeah, the gear in the studio is awesome, but it's really about the creative environment that people get put in that allow great things to actually happen. So unlike say in B that what we were just in, you got the cadenza. I always feel like that's very much an us versus them, meaning me versus them kind of thing. And we need to be on the same team, so I bring them in here. And, you know, there's no cadenza here. They bring a little keyboard, set it up. We can talk an acoustic back and forth. There's nothing in between us. It's a little bit more intimate. You know, we get it vibed out a little bit. We get the candles going, and I find it sometimes easier to write in this kind of environment than like, you know, $2,000 day studio room or something like this. It's almost like being at home. And most of our lives, you know, with Kane and I, we've only worked in rooms this size. The last studio that I built was, you know, my control room was this size. Kane's was a little bit smaller than this. And, you know, it's great. And in fact, this room is one of the best sounding rooms. So, you know, if you're in the box, well, not even in the box, because look, we've got Pultex, we've got all sorts of stuff here that people can be passionate into. But this is really a super mixing room too, even though we kind of sell it as an overdubbing vocal booth room and project kind of room. I mean, they actually designed this room as a master room. This was their master room, as they called it. And, you know, we're in Vegas and there's so many great masterers out there, you know, and we do some of that here too, but more than not, we're actually making music and creating it rather than just packaging it up at the end, you know, fine tuning it. And again, it's a situation where they can go in A, cut everything they need, even at the same time while they're finishing drum tracks. They can, you know, if you want to work on the server, the files are there. They can, you know, they can access them from here. The producer's already doing new vocals here while they're getting the other room cleaned up and all that. I mean, you can really work pretty fast in a circular fashion here without spending too much money out of your budget too. Although, you know, trust me, I want you to spend as much money here as you can. But I'm really producer guy more than recording studio guy, owner guy, right? So I used to book these rooms in the sense that I used to pay for these rooms, and so, you know, I wanted as much value as I could get, and so I want our clients to have as much value as they can get too. And it's always really accommodating when it comes to what other services that we can, you know, give them and how we can make them feel at home. Kane's stuck in Studio C doing his own thing, but the rest of us are in the trenches. So one fun thing about this room, and actually both rooms, I mean, we have two of these here, is that, you know, I mean, one of the most popular compressors these days, well, my most popular compressors are the retro there, but a lot of guys are using the CL1B, especially a lot of the hip hop guys and the pop guys. Well, look at this. This is a CL1A. It's like a Spinal Tap moment here, so take note. Even though it's first and not second, the CL1A is superior to CL1B in my humble opinion. Now, everybody's got an opinion. That's true, but people don't really look at that, and they even call in. They never ask for CL1A. They ask for do we have a CL1B? And well, yeah, we have that. Plus, we have a CL1A, which is, I guess, better. I don't know. I'm just a producer. All right, we'll go to A now. So we'll go to the control room next. See how I got rid of Kane there? I just told him we're gonna go in there and we're going in here. You know, large enough to record strings if you need them. I mean, you know, of a certain size. We have a great Yamaha C7 in the back here. We've got a hard booth, a little liver sounding. And a lot of times, you know, if there's a big session, we'll do piano in here, but a lot of times we'll just, you know, move the piano there. With these awesome studio doors, there's like a half an inch room on either side of this piano to get it in and out of here. But it works. And even a room this size with this kind of reflective surfaces with all this sugar cube stuff, I don't know what the technical term is, but it still sounds good. We put drums in here, we put horns in here, you know, all sorts of different things. And so this is a little, you know, liver sounding small room. A little brighter. This is a little deader sounding, you know, room in here. You can even tell probably even on the audio mic on the lab that, you know, a lot of amps go in here and that sort of thing. And that's one of the beauties of this studio too, is that I'll show you later, but there's ISO booth on the other side of the control room. So technically you have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rooms line of sight, which happens in lots of major studios in major cities. But in Las Vegas, this is the only one. And these days, they don't really even make them like this anymore in a certain sense, because everything's smaller, everybody's working in smaller rooms, smaller homes. But it's great for some artists, like say Carlos Santana comes in here. He sits in the control room. His whole band is here, you know, playing live. 2 percussionists, keyboardist, you know, blah, 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 drummer, everything. People on the other side, and they can track all at once. He gets in and out of here so fast, because it's like in the old days where they just set the band up and record. Going into the control room. Another SSL duality, 96 channels, just in case 80 is not enough in the other room. You can push a 96. It's a hybrid board, so it also can control your Pro Tools rig. You know, another selection of gear. More gear, more fun. .24 track in the corner. Always ready to go. As you can tell, nobody's using it right now, but it's ready. If somebody wanted to use this, they can. My favorite thing in this room, thank you, wife. Problem is, I realized I used to have this other studio where it was only, you know, Kane and myself, and so we could just have it the way that we wanted to at all times, and so these things were cool. Now nobody knows that this is how they work, and so, you know, they always turn it off or say it doesn't work. So that's far too much time spent on a lamp when it's an audio video. But guess what? More guitars. Different ones. Again, some of them gifts. Again, one of my favorites. Who needs a banjo? I do. I need this banjo. Vocal booth on the other side of the control room. And if you notice, we have TVs pretty much in every kind of most booths, and that's for the reason, like when I'm writing with ours, I like to put the lyrics up there so we can change them on the fly. You know, nobody's looking at their phone or their iPad or piece of paper, even though, you know, most people still prefer the old way. I prefer the new way. I put them up there, I'll move a TV in here, plus all the ADR, you know, because Las Vegas is such a hot spot for ADR and TV and film. No, it's not yet, but it's going to be. Great sounding room, and again, you can see all the way down. I don't know if you can with the reflection on the glass here. But. Lounge for Studio A. We've actually had lots of bands just rent this room out just for the vibes, because they come in here and they take their promo shots and sit on the couches and act like they're the kings. Now my favorite room. Hopefully this opens because I don't know what the code is. Oh, okay, we're in line. Mics, and more mics. Obviously being used somewhere. Locker after locker. It's not Blackbird Studios, but it's pretty decent in its own right. Everything from, you know, 251s to 57s and everything in between. And my favorite room, because this has got the cool stuff, the drums. Who doesn't like drums? being a drummer myself, spent my whole life not being able to afford drums as a drummer, so I had to become producer, and now they give me stuff. They give me the drums. No, I buy a lot of the stuff, but I mean, again, it's a different era for studios in the sense that maybe these aren't as necessary as they were in the past. Everybody's got samples, everybody's playing pads, but they're still fun. And I think the key thing about here is everything's ready to go. So if you want that big ass fiber skin kind of mellow Americana kind of kick, you got it. This is a kit we use with Kane a lot of times, an old Gretsch single-headed kit that's all muffled so you can get that 70s funk sound. Extra cool, all the percussion stuff. Floater gear right now, 410 64s that Ed cleaned up. Ed is our tech, the infamous Ed Evans from the power station. Different monitors and speakers, almost anything anybody would ever really want. Again, Leslie, different things like that. Little Rhodes back there. This is also really cool too because we have, like I said, the tech Ed Evans who works here. I mean, this is one of the only studios I've been to, other than, you know, the super big ones, that has its own bench. We have this excellent tech bench, but nothing's ever broken, so it doesn't get used because everything always works at any given time, as we all know every studio does. So there we have it. We have the Hideout from Kane Studio C to the warehouse in the back. Pretty much everything here. Great place to record in Vegas. Very upsetting with COVID that you all couldn't be here. I was pretty excited to see some people in town that haven't seen in many years, and some other people who've always wanted to meet and was excited to meet them, and now I can't meet them. So cheers. I'd like to say have a good time in Vegas, but you're not here, so good luck. You can drink wine at home on the couch.